don't know about y'all, but I am ready for Thanksgiving. We're gonna be off for a couple days. So, okay. Get rid of this. Okay. That's busy calendar. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about ways to boost your bottom line, smart ways to fund your daycare center. So if you've been rocking with me for the last couple of months, some of this stuff is like spiraling on. So you might be like, oh, I've heard this before, where we're just adding more layers onto it. Some of you might be your first time attending. So welcome. And like I said, it's just me. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And then I will answer as I go along, but I may also have to pause and let folks in. So, the whole point of this tonight is just to be thinking about different areas and different levels of funding you can bring in. We have some folks on the call who are just getting started, or you have a home daycare and you're just trying to make ends meet at this point, just trying to get up and moving. There are some of you that, you're sustainable, but it'd be really nice to maybe, get some new playground equipment or be able to, I don't know, buy a new sensory table or like something fun for your daycare. And then we have folks who like, if something major doesn't happen, you may be closing, next year sometime, God forbid. So I want to make sure that we're having conversations for the different levels of need. But I do also, before we get into this, I do always want to loop back to Maryland Capital Enterprises. Some of you guys, that's how you guys met me initially. It is not my organization, but it is a nonprofit with the state of Maryland, and they help with funding. So those of you that are looking for like loans, and we're going to tap into them briefly, but if you're looking for like working capital, if you're like $20,000, $10,000 would like save my piece right now, I would strongly encourage you reaching out to them and seeing about what you could do about maybe getting a line of credit or something like that. So I always like to mention that at the very beginning. They're called Maryland Capital Enterprises. They have a women business center. If you're in Salisbury like me, they're right there over by the old Board of Education, but they do have some across the bridge in Baltimore as well. Okay. So when it comes to understanding your funding options, these are three traits. This is just something that I came up with, and this is kind of like something I live by to kind of help me decide like what type of funding I need and just realistically how much time and effort it's going to take me and the payout. So you can have something that is high revenue. If you've been following me, I think I shared last time, we have gotten over $500,000 in grants. It's one grant program. We've got it 2 different years through the state of Maryland. It's not open anymore. It was a therapeutic childcare grant. They did not open it up to new people this year. But we are one of I think 5 in the whole state that got it. And it was huge, huge money, right? So high revenue, high revenue. Then you have types of funding that is like low intensity of effort, where you're not working on it every single day. It's not super stressful. You're not constantly have to work on, just always fooling with it. There are some that are just low intensity. And I would say that my grants, they're low intensity. I don't have to work on them every single day. I'm not stressing to hit a deadline. It's once a month I have to turn stuff in for now that I have the grant. But it's I don't want to say low effort. It's just the intensity of it is low. I don't have to do all this stuff, crunch it into, 30 minutes, and I'm working on it every single day. And then the last one is quick results. Grants are not quick results. We will talk about that in a minute. But if you're looking for, something in the next 30 days or the next 2 weeks or something like that, that's the type of funding. And reason why I include these three is because you can only have 2 of them. And we're going to be talking about that tonight, is that if you want something that is of high revenue and low intensity of effort, and again, I don't mean low effort, I mean just the intensity of it is low, it's not going to be quick. If you want something that is high revenue, like you want to bring in a bunch of money and you want it quickly, it's going to be a lot of effort. You're going to be putting in a lot of effort, and it's going to be high intensity. If you are looking for something that is low intensity and quick, it's probably not going to be high revenue. So you can kind of start to see how these 3 fit. And if you can kind of just wrap your head around the fact that you can only get 2 of them, that may help you when it comes to what avenue you want to go through. And just a reminder, those of you that are in my membership program, you will be getting a full recording of this, and you also will be getting a workbook. I'm going to talk at you guys a lot, so I like you guys have the opportunity to go back, print out your workbook, and really start having some ideas. So the quick and easy, right? But it might be less money. So class photos, especially if you are a like a home daycare center, this might be something you guys could do. You know, they do one in the fall, one in the spring. Set up something cute in your center and just let the parents know, like, we're gonna do class pictures that day, and to be able to take them. And if you just charged $5, you know, it's not a lot of money. It's pretty quick. It's not a lot of intensity, but it is something. Selling products like popcorn or holiday wrapping paper, like my nephew is a Boy Scout, and I feel like he is always selling beef jerky, popcorn, wrapping paper. Like every time I turn around, it's like something he's selling. So, and we know that that's just a link that you're sending out, Krispy Kremes, donuts, you know, those things where you're not putting a whole lot of like man hours into it. But you're also probably not going to get a whole lot of money either, but you're going to get it fast. So, so the minimal, it's the effort level is minimal, but the returns are going to be modest too. It really all depends on how big your network is. But if you're just talking about your daycare parents or like the people you go to church with or just like your circle, not a lot of effort. It's quick, but you're not going to get the, you know, if you're looking for a big money. This is a great way if you're like looking to, I don't know, have a guest speaker come to your daycare. Like there's a girl on Delmarva, and she's a mermaid, and that's her job. And she writes children's books about the environment, and she literally goes around to schools and daycares, and she talks about like the environment, and she's dressed up like a mermaid. I mean, like that could be something you want to bring to your center, or, you know, somebody to come and do face painting, or, you know, it's just something little, just a little treat that you want to do for your center, just a little something. Probably like a one and done type project. This is probably not something that's going to be sustainable, like you wanting to hire somebody new. This is probably not the way to generate the funds for that. So when we do kind of quick and easy things, it's like something just very something specific I want to buy. So like right now, something I want to buy is a telescope for our kids. So we're an evening overnight center, and we have a lot of school age kids, and I'd really like to be able to take them outside now that the sun's going down at, you know, 3 p.m. and let them look at the stars out back in our sensory garden. So it's not necessarily something I'm going to need to keep paying for. It's not something that's, you know, $1,000, but if I could raise 100, you know, just something, I don't want to get real expensive when they're kids, you know, how they do with toys and stuff. But this is probably an avenue that I'm going to look for to fund that very small project. All right. So then the next one is the quick and profitable, but this takes a lot of effort. And what I mean by that is like urgency is going to be your best friend. Like the hustle is going to be your best friend. You know, I'm just going to give an example. Right now, it's almost Thanksgiving. Parents are going to be Christmas shopping. And the reality is that a lot of parents, you know, they don't really, they're spending money they don't really have, if we're being honest. Because of mommy guilt, or, you know, they feel guilty because dad's not around, or like whatever the reason, and they're piling the Christmas tree full of toys, and it's really putting some parents in financial duress, and it doesn't really need to be. Now, that necessarily our lesson that we need to teach them, but if I was going to do this, I would consider maybe having like a holiday market, or even planning for in the like the spring to do something like that too. And having like a pop-up thrift store. There is, I don't know if she's on the call tonight, but we have I don't know if she's on Miss Robin. I don't know if she's here. She might not be here. But one of our daycares in the area, she actually is, her daycare is down the street from my development, but she's very much a community daycare center where people are always walking past her center. And I think about how maybe she could use that to create a pop-up thrift store where she goes to her parents and says, hey, we want to open a community thrift store. We're going to do a pop-up shop. It's for fundraising. If you guys have any toys that we can clean up, any clothes, whatever, like stuff around your house that you don't want anymore, you're cleaning out, please bring them to us. Now, this is going to be urgent, right? So we want to be quick with it. That might mean you need to go to the parent's house and pick the stuff up and start kind of getting your inventory. And this isn't costing you any money, right? Then also the effort of making sure things are clean, making sure you know, if you got to run it through the washing machine, coats and shoes and stuffed animals and anything that anybody wants to donate. And then setting up and marketing your event. where you're having flyers all around. Like, how quick could you do that to set up like a Christmas market or something, a pop-up thrift store for all of, maybe two different Saturdays in December? I just use that as an example of it could be done, but it takes a lot of effort. It could be done quickly. This is something you could have done by the end of the year, and for Christmas time, be able to make, let's, $1,000 or so, depending on how much stuff you have, depending how much effort you're willing to put in. But this would be something that you're working on every single day, and yeah, but it could have a high impact. Um, Also, an option would be maybe for after the holidays, where they're replacing things. They got an upgraded television, but there's nothing wrong with the other one, right? They're getting upgraded, I don't even know, toys, whatever. And the parents want to kind of get rid of some of the old stuff, or they're going through their winter clothes or whatever. So this might be a really great time to start gathering those things. But again, this is just an example of something that could be short term, but could really make you a lot of money, but it is going to take a lot of effort. So it really just about like, how much time do you have? How bad do you want it? And do you have other resources in place? Like, do you have people that can help you put something like this together? And if anybody has any other ideas about something like that, let me know. I know in 2 weeks or the next time we meet, I'm going to be talking more about some of these more profitable ideas, but we'll talk about those in 2 weeks. So now we have lucrative and low intensity. Some of this stuff is going to seem repetitive if you've been like rocking with me for a while. I will say all day and night grants, it's a long game. And I'm not talking about little $500 things with the community foundations or whatever. I'm talking about $50,000, $100,000. Larger bank loans, you're talking about $250,000 or even $50,000, $100,000. These things are going to be lucrative. It's going to be low intensity, but it's not going to be quick. So applying for state and federal grants, we've talked about this before. I'll do a brief quick Q&A at the end. So if anybody has any questions, I'll answer about those. But we have talked about this before, that you have to have different logins and passwords with like SAMS.gov and all of these different things that tap into those federal and state fundings. Being a vendor with the state of Maryland to do different like government contracts, things like that. All of that takes time to either have the account or get the plan together and get the budget together. And like the grant that we got, I applied for it in July. I got the letter that we got it, like the official letter, in October. I still have not received the documents that I need to invoice. So we're now, and I probably won't see a penny of that until maybe February. That's how it was last year. And then we got a big check in February. But I'm used to this now. Like, I know that it's lucrative, it's worth it, it's worth the wait. I got a plan for the wait, but and it's not something I have to work on every single day, but the outcome was totally worth it. The other process that we're working on is getting those larger bank loans. So I got a question in the chat. Hold on. Maybe. Oh, just a hi. Hello. All right. So I started with Maryland Capital Enterprises, and I kind of started chatting with their free like coaches and consultants about getting bank loans. And because I needed a significant amount, we're moving into a larger space. And we're also going to have our current location. So now I'm going to be paying 2 rents, and I'm going to need like 2 sets of staff, and all of these other things that we're going to be needing, not to mention moving into a new space and needing more toys. And we need two new sets of washer and dryers. I need, a new stove. If I just found out to hook the stove and everything, it's going to be like $7,000. Like, it's a lot of money to like get into a bigger space. And so I needed a lot more money. So I had to move with, they recommended me to somebody that does it privately, because he does work with bigger banks. I think Maryland Capital Enterprises might only go up to like 150,000, but 150,000 might be what you all are looking for. Like, some of you that might be, if we weren't moving, 150 would be great. Like, it'd be wonderful. Or like a line of credit, a small line of credit. I don't know all the ins and outs of all of that. These are just some things I'm picking up as I'm going through the process. But this is not just walking into the bank and getting a loan that day, like something personal. Like, they're going to want to see documents. They're going to want to see an explanation of your credit. They're going to want to see your tax statements. They're going to want to see a profit and loss statement. So you may need to get up with your accountant or your bookkeeper, and that may take maybe 7 days for her to pull that report together. So, it does take a while to make sure you have all these things, but once you start doing them, and I've talked about this before, like you're going to have the documents ready. So when they ask me for bank statements, I already got them. They're saved. Like I know exactly where they are and I can send them off. I could keep them in a little folder. And then as I need to update, accounting reports and things like that, I can do that as well. But and then meeting with different banks and lenders, like it's not a one and done. I've talked to a couple of banks. I have a meeting with the lady at the bank at Walmart in North Salisbury, yeah, North Salisbury tomorrow. That it's like Wood Forest Bank or something like that. I met her at an event last week for like rural businesses. I got a phone call saying that they wanted to the guy that I'm working with had kind of facilitated that. So I've gone out to I've had what you call conference calls, Zoom calls, gone out to meet the banks, and some of them say no. And maybe one because, we're moving into a building that we're not buying. That was something that I heard. Another bank doesn't even want to they don't want to get into commercial loans. They want to just focus on people buying houses. Like that's what the president of the bank said. They didn't want to work with businesses right now. They want to focus on families. So there's a variety of reasons why you may get turned down from the bank. But it's okay. But again, that's why it takes a while to get these bigger things. So if we're talking about emergency money, like your light's about to get cut off, that's a different conversation. And that's not what this is for. This is really for folks that have the time and have the the bandwidth really to just wait it out and make sure that you can get these things. So like we're moving into our space. They've knocked down all the walls. I've given them a good chunk of money. And hopefully we're gonna open in January. So, I'm not stressing about the banks, not hearing anything. Hopefully tomorrow goes great. And then I don't know, like after that, like once that initial, like, yes, we're gonna continue this conversation, then what happens? And I don't know how long it's gonna take for the money to hit our account for us to be able to use it. So um again, low intensity, it's going to be worth the wait, but you are going to have to wait. I did put things in here like Maryland excels. I would put that in this category. So yes, I have to do something once a year to make sure that we keep our accreditation and our accreditation. I have to make sure that I turn the attendance in, the occasional signature sheet, but it's worth it to me because it's very lucrative. Like that's our bread and butter. Childcare company quarterly grants. I don't know if you guys use childcare company. She's not paying me to say this, but we love childcare company at Night Watch. I feel like it's affordable for the classes. She has like a membership program where it's like $50 and there's all these different classes you can take. I actually ended up getting that for some of my staff members because I want them to keep up on their classes. Every quarter I give them classes they got to take. So when it comes to Maryland Excels, I don't have to worry about people not having their hours. But long story short, she offers $500 quarterly grants. And we got it once. We got some stuff for our sensory garden. We got some like solar lights, I think a table, some of those little things that you touch and they change colors. And I think some things where you can record like a sound. And so we wanted to have like some interactive things in our sensory garden that made noise and lit up and stuff like that. And we applied for it. And so she does them every quarter. I think for quarter 4, it's closed, but I would strongly encourage you getting on her email list if you're not on it already. It's called the Childcare Company. She's a Maryland company. She was at that conference in Ocean City. We've been using her for years, but that's another one where it might take a couple of months for you to hear something back and keep applying. Like we've applied once. I think you can apply multiple times, just only once per quarter. But with those little ones, $500, $1,000, like while it's not a ton of money, it's still low intensity. And if it can knock something off of your big list of all of the projects that you want for your center, it may be worth it. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. This is also something that I feel like I talk about a lot is the importance of building your network. When I first started Night Watch, I did not see the value in building my network. I didn't want to go to the events. I didn't want to go meet people. I'm like, I got this. I'm gonna do it by myself. And I was wasting time. Like if I could go back and tell myself 6 years ago, like, girl, go to the events, pass out the business cards. And it wasn't even about getting more daycare families because that's all I was focused on. I also need to focus on community partnerships. So I just came from a meeting at the Junior Achievement I don't know if you're on the Eastern Shore. I think they have junior achievements everywhere, but it was a really great meeting. They were talking about the budget. The county executive was there, and the school district was talking about obstacles they have with paying for all the things that legislation is telling them they have to pay for with the Maryland blueprint. And something on there that I saw was that they have to provide pre-K for 3 and 4 year olds. That's part of the Maryland blueprint. I also have seen where there are daycare providers, and some of you may be on that list, where it's pulling your numbers down, where parents are paying for daycare, for their 3 and 4 year olds. Well, now they can pull them out and put them in public school for free. I thought that was really interesting that that was on the blueprint, because now I see why they're offering it, because there's legislation that's telling them they have to do it. But I don't think anybody's necessarily advocating for the average daycare, where instead of you being able to keep a child from 6 weeks or so until they turn 4 and go off to kindergarten, now they're cutting, they're leaving at 2. And that's impacting you guys as small business owners. I mean, we're an evening center, so it really doesn't impact us at all. But I do know that is really causing a lot of problems. So I'm glad that I went to that meeting today, because I'm gonna speak up about it, and I'm gonna ask, like, what's the solution? Instead of them being burdened with all of these pre-K students, what are the possibilities of having partner childcare centers in the area, so that daycare centers in the area can still keep their kids, still keep their numbers, still have that revenue, but that the school district is still meeting that requirement with legislation. I wouldn't have known any of that stuff if I wasn't going to these meetings. And so it's really important sometimes that we get out of our little bubble, and I know the day-to-days, I know staffing patterns and meal plans and getting the parents to pay and all of that stuff. I know that all that is really important, and it pulls a lot of our energy, but I just encourage you, I implore you to make time for this, even if it's just once a month, to just really tap in. And even if you're just listening to a Zoom call or a school board meeting or something, you're just listening to it later in the day and you're not actually able to attend it live. I think it's really important for us to know what's going on with legislation and how it's impacting not just our families, educators, but us as business owners. Because I don't think anybody really spoke up at the state level and said, hey, if we're offering this, 3 and 4 year olds can go to preschool for free in public school, and all of these pre-K grants that maybe, and I didn't really look at them too much, because again, we're an evening center, how all of that pre-K grant and expansion and stuff, how that's impacting the home daycare centers or the smaller commercial centers. Like, if I was a daytime center, like, that probably would pull, that would pull a handful of my kids out. So, I'd like to be part of that conversation. The other part about connecting with local pediatricians, churches, and schools, something that I did this week was we printed out some flyers in different languages about our daycare services that we're moving. We want to be having, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more next week when we talk about other streams of revenue. We're going to be opening the Owl's Nest Learning Center, our learning hub. And essentially what that's going to be is for parents in the area to be able to come and use our computers, and while their kids are getting cared for maybe like a 2 hour block. So the parents would stay there, they're on the property, and they would just kind of have their kids be watched, similar if you were going to a gym. We have made connections by me going to these events, linking up with a community college. And so they're going to be able, they're interested in having GED programs and ESOL classes with us for the folks that are like, I want to come, but I don't have childcare. These are all partnerships and relationships that I've been able to cultivate from going to these events. So when I tell you they are valuable, but just like it's just, where are we at? Lucrative, low intensity. All right. I'm not doing it every day. Today was a very busy day. So I did go to the junior achievement meeting, but then I'm also on the youth development advisory committee for the city of Salisbury. And I that's what I was doing right before I hopped on the call with you guys, which is why I was about a minute late. But and I'm talking with them about how we can have safe havens in the area for kids. That's something we're working on. We're creating a proposal for the city. It sounds like a lot, but I really just meet with them every month for an hour. Earlier today, I was at a meeting for the city zoo, and they were talking about funding issues and that they're not going to get as much money from the state. And so I'm already thinking like, okay, how can we get more daycares in here? How can we get more kids in here so that their numbers boost, so that they can go to the state and they can go to their donors and say, hey, look at all these kids we're serving. Look at all these people we're serving. They can go apply for grants because they've got money and things. So all of this, happening today, but then I won't have to fool with it probably until next year. Like I won't meet with the zoo again until next year. The YDAC committee, I think we have a meeting next month, and it most likely will be postponed because it's probably right in the middle of it, Christmas and stuff. So high value and getting to be part of the conversation instead of just complaining about it on Facebook or just like brewing and stewing about it or just ignoring it altogether and then wondering why my business isn't thriving because I'm not paying attention to what's going on outside of me. So I strongly encourage you to start building that network. Even beyond just educators, you being here tonight is really great because you're in a space with other daycare owners and other daycare professionals, and you're getting the skills that you need to do these things. So, having said all that, what I would like you to do, and I'm going to give you some time, and I would love for you to maybe drop it in the chat or share if you want to brainstorm. If not, we'll go ahead and start our Q&A. I would love for you guys to pick one quick and easy idea that you could implement this month. Quick and easy. Those are the popcorn sales. That's the
Hi there.
hi. This is the photo shoots. Christmas is coming. I mean, how cute would it be just to have a couple of little presents that you wrap up, just boxes that you wrap up and have a little Santa hat and you're gonna do little pictures and you're gonna sell them for $5 or something like that. And then the next one is plan a larger event for early next year. So if it's gonna be that pop-up thrift shop or I don't know. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I've got a list, but something larger that you could have, like a breakfast. Parents can come or the community can come and you guys have a breakfast going on, maybe partner with a church and have a dinner. Like this weekend, we're doing Sunday dinner. This is going to be our first one. So it's going to be at our center and we've invited all of our daycare families to come. We are going to cater this one. This is going to be like free, but ultimately it'd be nice where we could use that as a fundraiser where, we could cook and then folks could come and get, pancake breakfast, stuff like that. People do it all the time. So that's a bigger event that could take some time to market and plan. But maybe it is something that you could do, maybe next February or March. And then the last one is I want you to figure out a time that you are going to commit to weekly research to apply for grants. And I'm also, even in addition to grants, I also would be prepare for loans and look into like government contracts. Just one day a week, I would just maybe take an hour and just kind of play with it and keep some notes so that you're just making, steps towards the bigger plan. All right. And then before we get into the Q&A, just a reminder. So I offer these for free and I have no problem doing it. I love meeting with you guys every other week. I love talking about this stuff. It's helping me stay on track. It's helping me stay accountable to the things that I need to be doing with my business. I am offering, it's the CEO series membership. And this is for folks that don't just want to consume the information, but are ready to like take that next step and really get some action in place. What you get with this membership is $19 a month. Just $19. You get lifetime access to the trainings. So I'm recording this. This will go into a folder. You'll also have a workbook that goes with it. And then when we're done, we're also going to have, so at 7 o'clock, my membership folks will hop on again and it'll just be a Q&A for them. We can pull up projects that they're working on. It doesn't necessarily have to be what we talked about tonight. It could be something we talked about weeks ago, really just to kind of get some personalized support outside of these things where I'm talking at you. This is more where like you get to lead more of the session and really get the help you need. And of course, you'll get continued access to these trainings. And all right, so there's that. And then I will go ahead and set the timer and I will stop sharing my screen. And if anybody has questions, we'll get started. If nobody has questions, we'll wrap it up. If anybody wants to talk, go and say something. Any ideas for some of these projects? The short term, long term, and the weekly time commitment. Anybody know what day they want to work? Okay, well then I'll go ahead and wrap it up if nobody has any questions. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Oh, I had a question. Sorry, I was trying to type it.
No, oh no, no problem. No, let's just talk. It'll be quicker.
Okay. So where do you go to look for grants? Like what sites and stuff?
Yep. So I pay a membership to grantwatch.com. I think it's like $40 a month. But if I could get, $50,000 from that membership, and it's month to month. So if let's say you just want to pay for the 1 month and actually I can share my screen and show you all what it is. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to take a break from all of that for the holiday season. Yeah. So this is what I use. You can use this one over here, grants.gov. So this is free, this grants.gov. You do need to make an account for it, and it does take a while for your business to like get like certified with the grants.gov. You need a SAMS number. It's a whole thing. So this is something that if you want to kind of work on each week for 20 minutes, this would definitely be something that I would want to jump into. It's low intensity, but at some point it's going to be lucrative. The reason why I don't like to use now, the grants that are on here, but it's not super user friendly. Like they don't save your searches. It always makes you have to put all the criteria back in again. Like I didn't like it. Yeah. So what I'm most likely going to do, because I'm probably going to take a break for this month and next month and probably January of just grant writing. What I'm probably going to do this week is go through here and pull a couple that are due next year. Like I can sort it out that they're not due until, let's say, February or March. And then I might just like cancel my subscription for like a couple months until I'm ready to get back into it. And you could do that. So I'm just literally just going to click on just one, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. This is not one that I searched. This is not what I'm going to sign up for. I just want to show you what it looks like. So it'll give the grant description. What I do like about this membership is you can save it and it will save like to a calendar for you, but it's not necessary. Like you can save it to your own calendar. And then it'll have all the information, but then it's going to have the full grant text RFP. And then what you can do is just save this website somewhere. So like this website is through this mayor's office. It is not through grants.gov. So you can go through and just spend one night, spend an hour and pull 10 or so grants off of here that you want to work on in the next, 3 months and just save them somewhere and then, get rid of your membership. So that is what I use. The other thing, so let's go over to our people over at MSDE. Let me see where I have seen these before. Am I clicking here? Am I clicking here? Where am I clicking to search? Oh, sorry. Okay. So going on MSDE and just searching. So this is where I actually found the Therapeutic Childcare Center grant. I didn't get an email or anything about it. I'm always looking. But you notice right now there's not really any grants on here right now. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be looking. So if it's if you're meeting with me on Wednesdays, right? And let's say after we meet, or if you're gonna do the VIP or like whatever, the membership, just take that, like just stay with the momentum. Just stay on the computer for one more hour and put this on your list of things to be looking at. Check these out. So I look for MSDE grant programs. Another place I look for is Maryland housing or community grants. Hopefully, okay. This is another place that I turn in a grant for. The community development funding and support programs. Again, I would just have these hyperlinked onto like a document and check them out, as frequently as you can. Like again, like that week, every week you're going to do it for an hour. Just check because they're going to post stuff and they don't necessarily put out an email blast about it. They're not, like the only way you're going to find it is you go looking for it. Like they're not going to reach out for you and find it. But just looking at some of these and just see like, is this something that maybe you could apply for? So like we just applied, it's not on here anymore because it's closed, but we applied for the community, it was like a community boost micro grant And so I applied for it. I won't hear anything about it until January, maybe February, if we even get approved. I know it was very competitive. I don't know. Like I turned in all the things, I turned it in and we'll see. Again, it was low intensity. It's going to take a while, but it could be very lucrative. I asked for about $25,000. It was a matching program. So I had to show in my bank statement that I had money to match this program. And then if we get it, I have a year to spend that money. So if they give me 25,000, I have to spend 25,000 and I have to spend it in by the end of like 2026 or something. But again, that's just low intensity, right? It's just turning in paperwork every now and then, but it is lucrative, but it is going to take a while. This community service block grant program. I mean, I would just click on it. Like it could be um services and activities provided by eligible entities serve individuals and households in urban rural areas throughout the state. I mean, it'd be worth looking into. I mean, I don't know what you have to be community. Again, read it. It's low intensity. You just kind of got to read through it. Community action agencies. Like, I don't know. Like, do daycares count as those? It'd be worth an email. It'd be worth looking. But this is another spot, the development of housing and community development. I like to pop in here because you never know. It might be something about business building, because that's what I turned that in for. Or if it's like community development. I mean, are we not community development? We're like, oh, look, so on this one, oh, who's not eligible? Cities, Kent, Salisbury. So like this one, who is not eligible to apply? Okay, all right. So I'm in Salisbury, so I couldn't even apply for this one. But um, anyway, this is just another spot. Another place, and because I am a registered apprenticeship program with the state of Maryland, um, Department of Labor is another place that I check out. And again, they're not going to reach out to you and say, hey, we have money available. It's just something that I'm going to always have to be looking for. So we are also able to take like high school kids. So my nephew is actually going to be starting with our apprenticeship program in January. So I'm going to be looking for how can maybe we get some, money for having youth come and work with us and maybe participate in the apprenticeship program or at least a summer job.
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, hi, my name is Grace. Do you know anything about the Maryland pre-K expansion grant? And do you have any idea how one can apply for that?
Yes. I don't know if it's still open, but I will show you where I believe it was.
I've seen it on their website, but I need like a grant writer. I don't know how to write a grant.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that you can recommend?
Well, and that's what I was going to ask too. Well, one, I'd like to know a little more about the apprenticeship, but also to the question that the lady's asking now. The grant writing, did you take a class? I've heard that it's a good idea to take a writing class for the grants, but what's your experience with writing grants and especially the ones that you've been accepted for?
Yeah. I was real big about just taking my time with the application. And what I mean by that is that, we were asking for six figures. And so I had to get very detailed about what I wanted for this program and get down to all of the details. The first time I applied for it, I asked for $60,000 and he came back and he was like, that's all you want? Like, that's all you need, like to really do this program. And I wasn't even thinking, I was so used to asking for the bare minimum, trying to do everything super on a budget. This was the first time where they were saying, if we were to give you, $200,000, what would you do with it? If we gave you $500,000, what would you do with it? So I did not have a grant writer. I wrote it myself, but it was really spending a lot of time with the application and really thinking about what I wanted to do with my program.
You want me to meet?
And then the other thing that I used was it's tools like Otter. So some of you guys have that already. I would literally just pull up the application and like I'll use this one as example because they look very similar. I just kind of went through the whole thing and I'm like, I had my phone and I'm recording myself and I'm like reading this. And then I would kind of say, oh, well, this is what we would do at Night Watch to meet this program description. And then I'd go to the next part and I'd say, okay, the purpose is da 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 da. And I would be like, okay, this is how Night Watch is going to meet this purpose. And then I'd go down to like how much they're asking for, right? And I'm like, okay, this is going to be the amount of money that we're going to need. And I start kind of rattling off things. I know we're going to need more teachers. We were going to need sensory gardens. We ended up getting new flooring because we have children with they have explosive outbursts, you know, throw themselves on the floor and things like that when they're tantruming. So we want to make sure we had like just a safe environment for them. So I kind of started keeping notes on the recorder, right? And so it's taking dictation of me, and I'm going through I didn't necessarily go through the use of funds, but it's gonna like the required components, all of these things. I started just really taking detailed notes, but I was recording it because I know trying to type it and write it down can be for me, it's time consuming. I would rather just chalk it out, but to have a tool like Otter to catch all of it was really, really great. And then what I did was I went over to Chat GTP and I started copying and pasting parts of the application. So for instance, like if it was asking for a certain like portion, like for like this one, clear goals and objectives that demonstrate how the program will provide an educational program and meets the requirements of the grant. So I would copy that and I'd say, you know, create a narrative or explanation for this bullet point based off of this copy, based off of what I said. And I'd copy everything from Otter and I'd paste it into Chat GTP. I do pay for both of those. They do it free for both of them, but Chat GTP, once you start getting into like lengthier things that you're pasting in, they're going to want you to pay for it. But to me, it was worth it. If it got me, you know, we got $344,000 for this coming grant year. It was obviously it was worth it, right? To invest in that technology. And then I just took piece by piece and then I'd go through and edit it. It wasn't just a copy and paste back and forth from the AI, but I definitely used those tools to help me get my ideas and all of this like vision and all these big plans that I have for my center down onto paper, and then having those AI tools to help me properly answer the question thoroughly to make sure that I had all the pieces. In my experience with this, they want to make sure that everything is super clear and they want to make sure you have as much detail as possible. Because they don't know your daycare. And the people that are looking at these grant rubrics, some of them are not even like, I'm not saying they don't work for MSDE, but like somebody who's working in like testing and curriculum really doesn't know a whole lot about daycare. Like I was a high school teacher for 15 years, 16 years, and like I'm still learning things about daycare that I didn't know. I've been in for 6 years. So the education is such a big umbrella. And you know, the people that I was working with and the customer service was fantastic. They definitely were open to answering questions. They you know, it's definitely like they have to keep a boundary up, you know what I mean? Like they can't just like tell you what to include. But what I kept hearing was make sure you answer all of the bullet points. Make sure that you are over detailed. Like give all of the information that you need because they don't know your business. They don't know you. They don't know what you do. And so it's really important that you're super clear so that literally when they're looking at the rubric and it's like a checklist of all the things that they want, it's super clear. It's like, oh, Night Watch is gonna what did it say on here? Oh, here's their goals and outcomes that demonstrate the program. Boom, right there. And I put it in order. Like I even put it in order for the required components. So it's not even, you know, a problem. And I'm gonna share my screen again. How are we looking on time? Okay. Now, this is not the grant that I did. I just pulled up the kindergarten, the pre-K grant, but this is essentially the format of what it looks like. So the additional requirements, but just it's not something that is going to take, like it's not a quick and lucrative. It's going to take some time, but it's going to pay off. So and just making sure you have all of these things. Like don't skip over anything. If you have questions, email them. Project abstract, the Chat GTP helped me. And again, don't make it just copy and paste. Just use it as a tool to help you get your ideas down on paper and then go back through and do what you need to do to make sure that that you are well versed on it. Because what I would hate to happen is you Chat GTP everything and then they want to meet with you and they want you to talk more about your program and your, you know, deer in the headlights because you really weren't like, it wasn't all of your ideas. You were just kind of relying on tools. So I do want to preface with that. The tools are just tools. They're not substitutes for you and your planning and your thought process. I want to see, because in mine, okay. So then they have these like tables, right? And they literally tell you how to fill them out. So it's detailed, it's time consuming, as in like, it's going to take you a while. It's going to be more than one sitting to get all this done. And I encourage you to work on it and step away and work on it and step away. Keep in mind of timelines and things, but sometimes when we sit in it too much, sometimes we forget. And sometimes we're in the shower, we're like, oh my gosh, yes. Or it's the middle of the night, you're falling asleep and something comes to you. So give yourself time for your subconscious to really think about some of these things for these bigger grants. And then like a sample timeline. So like when you do your timeline, make it look like this. Like don't make it a guessing game for them. Like make sure that you have all of the things, the salaries and line items. Make sure your table looks just like this. And I'm trying to think, they may send you like a one you can fill out, like an editable one. Like this is just like can you type into this one?
Like a template?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Yes. So, and then like down here, like this is the same form that we have to use. And I don't want anybody to be overwhelmed. This is something that you put your budget on. And if you don't know how to use it, don't worry. I didn't know how to do it either. And the first time I turned it in wrong. And they were more than willing to meet with me on a call. And they were like, hey, this is where you need to put everything. So this is literally the same exact form that I filled out for mine. So they do the same form for all of the MSDE grants. But like I said, the customer service was great. And then those follow the submission requirements. Talking about the project abstract, make sure it's not more than 100 words. Like those little things, it being right here, the application page must be signed with blue ink. Like it's like you really got to pay attention to those details because that will be the reason why they get rid of it. It's not complete, it's late, it's doesn't have the blue ink. You know what I mean? Like some of them might email you back and let you fix it, but I wouldn't. I would rather ask a bunch of questions ahead of time and get it done right than you turn it in wrong. Don't ever feel like that you're gonna get like points off. Did I stop sharing? Okay. Did I stop sharing? No, I didn't. Don't ever think that you're gonna get like points off for asking questions. So please ask the questions. That's what they're there for. It's literally their job to match this money up with candidates. So, and a lot of times the people you're talking to for the customer service are not even the people that are going to be on the committee. So, like, don't worry about that part. Just ask your questions.
I have one more question, please.
Sure.
So happy apprenticeship week, everybody.
I'm sorry, I forgot to ask about that. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. So I've worked with the summer youth apprenticeship, and now I'm working with the high school senior apprenticeship.
Okay.
But I know you mentioned your nephew is joining. What I would like to know is how do you use Apprentice in your classroom, and are you their mentor or do you match them with a teacher?
So I already have a person that each teacher can only have one mentee. So I already have one already. So my nephew is actually going to be paired up with my husband, who is one of our other teachers. So that's who that's who's going to get matched up with. And did you ask me another question about that? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So
Okay.
then I'm just wondering, so I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to use apprenticeships and the apprentices in the future. I've heard some as aides or assistants because they don't need a lot of the training per se.
Yep.
But I'm just wondering what has been your experience and the best way for you and how you plan to move forward because of your experience with the apprentice.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're planning to do is, especially our high school students, is have them be as aides. One, because they can count into ratio, they're not just like a volunteer, but they're not obviously quite a teacher. But the expectation is that like, you're going to be taking these classes. So part of our apprenticeship program is the last hour of their shift, they're going to be on the computer working on their online CDA classes. So that's what we're going to be doing for for that part, and he'll be able to get high school credit for it. So this is going to be our first one with a school district. So I'll keep you guys posted how all that goes. But my apprenticeship navigator, it was amazing, and she's definitely like, any questions I have, she's on it. So I'm looking forward to it, but that's how we're going to utilize them. With the adults, kind of similar model where they're going to be aides. But like the apprentice that I have right now, she is actually doing her coursework through Hartford Community College. That's how we got initially introduced to this whole idea of apprenticeships. Hartford Community College had a table at that the conference in Ocean City, and I stopped by and I was like, oh, let me get information. And then one of my staff members, she also saw the table and she grabbed information, and her and I touched base. So it was great that her and I both saw it. So she's taking her classes through Hartford Community College, but she's getting her on the job training with me. So she's not technically part of our apprenticeship program, but she's our center manager. She's not a director. She's a manager. She came to us from McDonald's, and she was one of our daycare moms, and she was a manager at McDonald's. And within 3 months, probably two months, she made my job so much easier. She was like on it. She was like, Miss Amy, we need to be doing this and this and this. And I'm like, do you want to be the manager? So she's the person that handles HR. She's the person to make sure we have groceries. Like, she's taken so much off my plate so that I can focus on networking. And like, I know that when she's there, things are going to be taken care of. She's not a teacher, right? She's still an aide, but she very much is still a leader. And with my business anyway, I don't want to have that traditional hierarchy. Like, if you're like, she makes more than our teacher, because she has more responsibility. So it's apprenticeship, but it kind of segued into another conversation, but I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you. And thank you just for all the knowledge. You are a great resource. I appreciate you being so open and willing to share. I found that a lot of people in the education are not in this private sector. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. I have a question real quick.
Sure.
If I sign up for the membership, would I get this recording and the past recordings also? Because this is my first time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. How do I sign up? Do you have a link or?
Yeah, I do. Yep. It should have been in the email, but I will drop it.
Okay, I'll look for it. I'm sure I'll find it.
Yep, but I'll drop it in the chat just in case. But I do know when I get off the call, it'll go away.
Okay.
Like I said, it's $20 a month, and like I said, we'll get to meet.
And there's no obligation, right, to just continue.
Oh yeah, you want to do a month and then get out? That's totally fine.
Right.
Yep, and then you can still come to these free trainings.
Okay, and this is done how often?
So we do these every 2 weeks. Now with the holidays and stuff, I looked at the calendar. I'm not 100% certain, like, if we're still doing every other week, but it still should be 2 per month. And then what we'll do is, like, so I'm about to wrap this call up with everybody my free folks, and then I'm going to hop on with my membership folks. So if you're those of you that are looking to write the grants, that will be a great time for you to bring your grant application. I'm not going to be able to write it for you, but I can go into a little more detail about some of the tools that I do use, if that is something that is coming up in conversation with you guys, because you guys really are going to lead that conversation a little bit more.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dora.
Of course. And if you do click on that link tonight, like I said, I'm about to hop into the VIP one, so I won't be able to link you in for it tonight, but moving forward, we'll have you set ready to go.
Right. No problem.
You'll also have access to the videos and the workbooks tomorrow, Friday, the latest.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Of course. If anybody doesn't have any more questions, I will. Donna had a question. Have you found any grants that can be used for startup centers? No. And I'm gonna tell you, you probably won't find any unless it's like some random, like, small amounts through like a city boosting, community boosting type of thing. Grants are typically for things that are already up and moving, because nobody's gonna give you money if you can't show that you have. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to fund your project fully. I don't know if that's making sense. Just in my experience, if you're looking for startup, you want to go to a bank. You want to go to a place like Maryland Capital Enterprises, Small Business Administration. You want to link up with those folks to see about really getting your business plan in place, getting your personal finances in place, because you're going to be the guarantor for it, and having them link you up with a business. I wish I had done that when I got started instead of just like doing it all myself. But we live and we learn. So Of course, of course. All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a great Thanksgiving, and I will see you guys in December. And the rest of you, if you're gonna hop on the call, I'll see you in 3 minutes.
All right. Thank
Thank you.
you. Have a good
Bye.
night.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Of course.